Before they called me the Tarnished Ember, they called me by other names. Morvyn the Dread, Morvyn the Terror, Morvyn the Destroyer, Morvyn the End. Those names were not given lightly. They were carved from cities I had broken, armies I had scattered, towers melted into glass beneath my breath. I did not merely bring ruin. I became the shape people imagined when ruin was coming. Kings sent champions. Sorcerers bound storms into spears. Hunters came with blessed steel, poison, dragon bone, and songs older than their bloodlines. Still I endured. Not because I was righteous, not because I was chosen, because I could not be killed. And when a creature cannot be killed, the world learns a darker craft. It learns how to bury him alive. They lured me beneath the Elder Spine Mountains with the promise of a final war. I came gladly, proud enough to believe even the earth would move aside for me. Instead, the mountain closed above my wings. Runes burned into black iron. Chains older than kingdoms fastened around my limbs. Stone sealed every passage. The last thing I heard before the gate was closed was not a war cry. It was silence. The silence of a world that had finally survived me. For an age beyond counting, I remained there. An eon, if the scholars measured the ruin correctly. At first I raged. I filled the cavern with fire until the stone sweated. I tore at the chains until my claws split. I promised vengeance against every bloodline above me. Then rage became hunger. Then hunger became exhaustion. Then exhaustion became memory. That was when the true prison opened. Iron can restrain the body. Stone can deny the sky. But memory needs no key. It walks wherever it wishes, and in that darkness, it walked through me without mercy. I began to return to the same moments again and again. The first village I burned because its lord insulted me. The first surrender I refused because mercy felt like weakness. The first friend I frightened into silence. The first time I mistook fear for respect. I asked what would have happened if I had turned aside. If I had spared one city, if I had listened when my kin warned me that worship built from terror is only hatred waiting for courage. One thought opened another. If I had not answered insult with flame, if I had not confused power with purpose, if I had not demanded the world kneel before I had learned how to stand within myself. Each question became a corridor, and each corridor led to a life I did not live. One where I was honored without being feared. One where I protected those beneath my wings. One where I never became the end. Do you understand the cruelty of such visions? They do not resurrect the dead. They do not mend the broken gate. They do not return one stolen breath. They only show you the person you might have been, then leave you alone with the one who remains. For centuries, I believed this was justice. I believed that if I suffered enough in thought, I might balance what I had done in fire. I believed each return to the wound was penance. I believed refusing peace meant I had finally become honest. But a mind can make a throne of guilt. and I sat upon mine like a king who mistook his prison for a kingdom. This is rumination, not reflection. Reflection enters the ruin to recover wisdom. Rumination enters the ruin to count the ashes again, not remembrance. Remembrance honors what happened. Rumination demands that the wound prove itself forever. I did not know the difference then. I only knew the corridors. Then, after ages of silence, I heard footsteps. Small footsteps first, heavy, uneven, defiant against the dark. A dwarf stood beyond the outer ward, holding a lantern as though a lantern had any right to challenge that place. One eye was hidden beneath a patch. The other watched me without worship and without hatred. Beside him stood a wizard in blue, thin as a dead tree and twice as stubborn. Arcane light moved around his hand, but not as a weapon. I expected them to bargain. I expected them to threaten. I expected them to ask where treasure had been buried. Instead, the dwarf said, "Are you still in there?" I laughed so hard the cavern shook dust from the ceiling. Still in there, as though I were a lost miner beneath a collapsed tunnel. As though Morvyn the Dread had only misplaced himself. I told them to leave. They did not. They returned the next year, then the next. Years became decades. They brought no army, no tribunal, no choir of priests to name my sins. They brought questions, stories from the world above, bread for themselves, a flask for the dwarf, ink and old parchment for the wizard. They spoke with me through iron and warding flame. Some days I answered. Some days I cursed them. Some days I said nothing at all. Still they returned. The dwarf asked what I remembered. The wizard asked what I had learned. For a long time I hated them for the difference. What I remembered was endless. What I had learned was almost nothing. That truth wounded me more deeply than chains. I had spent an eon thinking, and still I had not become wise. I had circled my guilt until I knew every edge of it, but I had ignored the single question still alive before me. What now? Not what if. What now? When the dwarf first asked it, I gave him no answer. When the wizard asked it years later, I gave him rage. When they asked it after decades, I gave them silence. And one day, beneath a mountain that had forgotten the sun, I finally understood why. What if allowed me to remain powerful over ghosts? What now demanded that I become responsible among the living? That was the terror I had avoided. Not death, not judgment. Choice. Choice after failure. Choice after ruin. Choice when no apology could raise the dead. Choice when I could no longer pretend that thinking about the wound was healing it. The dwarf and the wizard did not free me because I was innocent. They freed me because, after many decades, I could finally answer them. What now? I will not be what I was, not because the past is gone, because the present is not, The day the final chain broke, I did not rise in triumph. There is no roar fit for legend, no crown of flame. I stepped from the prison like a creature learning the weight of air. Above me, the sky was wider than memory had allowed. And still, even free, the corridors followed. That is what I wish you to understand. Freedom from the cell did not free me from rumination. The mind can carry its dungeon into open fields. It can stand beneath stars and still stare at walls no one else sees. Perhaps you know this. Perhaps no mountain holds you. No iron grips your wrists. No spell denies you the road. And yet you wake inside the same thoughts. The life you should have chosen. The work you should have taken. The discipline you should have built. The person who should have become before time began to harden around you. You summon versions of yourself like ghosts. The one who was braver, the one who was wiser, the one who did not waste so much, the one who saw the whole shape of life before taking the first step. Then you look at the life in your hands, the real life, the breathing life, and it seems smaller because you have compared it to kingdoms made of mist. Listen to me. Every imagined road hides its cost. Had you taken the other path, you would have met other griefs. Had you chosen the other calling, you would have carried other burdens. The mind shows the gate, not the winter beyond it. The crown, not the neck that must bear it. The road, not the selves you would still have buried along the way. All paths demand tribute. All paths end at the same distant threshold. Death waits without hurry, and who can say what lies beyond it? Some see judgment, some see peace, some see reunion, some see nothing. Some see a mystery too large for language. But that is not the question before us now. The question is what you will do with the breath still in your keeping. Rumination offers command over what can no longer be touched. Action offers stewardship over what still can. One makes you sovereign over ghosts. The other makes you responsible for the living. You do not need to solve your entire life tonight. The circling mind will demand that from you. It will ask for the perfect life, the perfect work, the perfect future, the perfect proof that you have not failed. But life is not forged by imagining the perfect blade until the fire dies. Iron is heated, hammered, cooled, tested, returned to flame. Again, again, again. So it is with a life. Make one good decision, not the grandest, not the purest, not the one that repairs every year behind you. One good decision. Then, if it strengthens you, if it benefits you, make it again. Drink the water, lift the weight, write the page, clean the room, send the message. Close the door that keeps harming you. Open the door that frightens you because it asks you to grow. Rest before exhaustion turns you against yourself. Return to the work without demanding that the work save your soul by morning. Small choices are not small when repeated. They become structure. They become identity. They become a gate out of the inner prison. The old thoughts may return. Mine still do. Some nights I hear the chains, though no chain holds me. Some nights I hear the names again. Dread, terror, destroyer, end. And I answer them with the only weapon that has ever truly changed me. The next right choice. Not a perfect life, not a flawless mind, not a past made clean. One choice, one coal placed back into the hearth. So leave the phantom roads to their mist. Let the dead possibilities bury themselves. Stand where you are. Take the breath that is still yours. Choose the next good thing, and guard it like fire. I am Morvyn, the tarnished ember. I was Morvyn the dread. I was Morvyn the terror. I was Morvyn the destroyer. I was Morvyn the end. But I am not only what I was, and neither are you. Not all flames consume, some endure, and so may you.